Welcome to the Scott Horman Podcast. I'm Scott Horman, and after spending decades as a player, coach, and mentor, I've learned that the greatest lessons in baseball have very little to do with batting averages, earned run averages, or championships. They have everything to do with character, leadership, perseverance, faith, and becoming the kind of person other players want to follow. Each week, we'll have an honest conversation about baseball, high school sports in general, coaching, parenting, player development, recruiting, and the moments that shape young athletes long after the final out. Because at the end of the day, trophies collect dust, character lasts forever. Welcome to the Scott Horman Podcast. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Scott Horman Podcast. Today, man, I'm really excited. I've got a guy who I've known probably since he was 12, even 11 years old. Watched him play on the ball field in high school, followed his career in college, and then he turned into a broadcaster at the minor league level. And next thing you know, one day I'm turned on the radio and I hear his voice. So Zach Goodman, KOA's play-by-play announcer, newest member of the radio team for the Rockies broadcast. Zach, thanks for being with us.
Oh, thanks for having me, Scott. It's funny we're doing this. It's funny how far back we go, and I think 11 or 12 is honestly being a little bit generous. I think it was probably before that because of your relationship with my older brother as well, and Casey Opitz, and them playing together. So it's as long as I can remember, you've been a part of my life.
Well, I appreciate that, and really, to be honest, it was a pleasure to coach your brothers. I didn't. It's crazy. I really didn't get to coach you that much.
No.
But I coached your older brother and your younger brother, and both have I've been part of their lives. But you and I have talked to each other a lot. In fact, I remember talking to you your senior year as you were going into the playoffs. We sat on some chairs outside of the Arapahoe, and you were talking about going and winning. And you said, "Why not us?" And you guys made a great run at it, and made it to the Elite Eight. And it was awesome to watch that group of Arapahoe players do that year.
You know what's funny is I hadn't watched that video in probably 5 or 6 years, and somebody sent it to me. Somebody in my family sent it to me a few months ago, and I looked back at it, and it all came back to me. And I remember because we were playing Mountain Vista, and they were 21-0, and they had rolled everybody all year. And you interviewed me, and you brought up, "Hey, you guys are about to go play Mountain Vista in the Elite Eight." And I'm naive, and I'm just 17 years old, and I go, "Yeah, we're gonna make them 21-1. We're gonna beat them. We're not scared." And I remember the podcast, your guys' episode came out the day before we played them, and I purposely did not retweet it, nothing, until after the game. I didn't want them to see that.
You don't want to get. They were good enough at the time, right?
Yeah. We ended up. We beat them like 7 or 8-1, and then they rolled through the rest of the bracket and ended up winning state. They
beat Heritage twice in the state championship that year. I mean, for Littleton that year, what a great opportunity having Heritage and Arapahoe both be in the Elite Eight, which I'm not sure that'll ever happen again. So
we played in the 2-0 game. The winner was going to the state championship. We went out to a 4-0 lead in the first two, and I still feel if the rain delay didn't happen, we'd have at least a banner for the runner-up at the very least in the Arapahoe gym.
You know what's crazy is I'm sitting here listening to you talk like this, and you have called hundreds of games now, but you remember that like it was yesterday, don't you?
You know what? I have a really good. I remember a lot of games, especially the ones that I played in. But I could recall some big Rockies games back in the day, all the little details about it. I mean, if there's a detail of Game 163 in 2007, I know it. I remember everything that happened in that game. So, I usually have a good remembering for that.
It helps you been around the game your entire life. Obviously, Zach is the son of Drew Goodman, play-by-play announcer for the Rockies television broadcast, and I've known Drew a long time. In fact, Drew was my catcher playing men's baseball. That's how I met him. We were playing men's baseball, like old man baseball, where I would throw 140 pitches a game, and your dad was a catcher, and he caught every game. And it was crazy because he'd catch every game, and then he'd go run after the game. And I'm like, "What are you doing, dude? Like, you just caught 9 innings and now you're going running." He's a fitness crazy man. So
he's a psychopath. If he's got a 5 a.m. flight, he'll get up at 2 a.m. to work out because he never misses a day. But
that's awesome.
He's a lunatic for
sure. Successful people have routines, and they don't like to break those routines. So, all right, let's talk about you though, because here that's why we're here. Because I'm really proud of what you've done, both on and off the field, and who you are as a young man. But tell me about your journey. You know, you played high school baseball. You go to Webster. Talk about Webster. You're wearing your Webster polo there. Talk about Webster University and what that place means to you.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm wearing it. I just got done golfing with my mom on her birthday, so happy birthday, mom!
Happy birthday.
Yeah, yeah. Webster was amazing for me, and going back to the recruiting process, there's so many different schools you're looking at and deciding to go to. I was really close to going to Chapman in California, but end up deciding on Webster, and it's the best decision I've made. I have such a great relationship with my coach there, even though he was hard on us sometimes and hard on me, but. I learned a lot from him, and I learned a lot just from being in the program. And everything was really regimented. There was no excuse to miss breakfast club or a weightlifting session or an optional practice. Really wasn't optional because everybody else held you to that standard. There's study groups, and there's just all these things where it's more than a full-time job. Plus, you're going to school. And it really forces you to kind of manage your life. And I learned a lot of life skills from doing that. And then obviously on the baseball side of things, I played 6 years. I got COVID eligibility, so I just kept playing, and I was going to play as long as I could. So I loved it there. I really did.
You got 6 years there, and talk about being a catcher and how that has helped you in your career. Because I truly believe, I talked to Casey Opitz. I don't know if you saw that episode, but I had Casey Opitz on, and he talked about it being a catcher, and you're the quarterback on the field. Talk about how that's kind of helped you with how you watch the game now.
Yeah, Casey, I used to take lessons from Casey growing up, and then I played against Casey, and then I was always watching him at Arkansas. And Casey and I had the similarity of we were both really good defensive catchers, and he was much better offensively than I was, but I was okay. But we were both really good behind the plate, so I took a lot of cues from what he was doing, and he's certainly very knowledgeable about that catching position. One of the most knowledgeable people out there. So he is great. Opinions on that. But in terms of being a catcher and using it in my current profession, I mean, I'm watching baseball every single day, and I have an understanding of how guys are sequencing, pitch shapes, why guys are going for different locations in the zone, why they're changing speeds, what they're trying to do out there on the mound. And then on the same standpoint, what the catcher's thinking, why is he lining up a certain way? And definitely playing at a high level has really allowed me to have a better understanding of the game from a play-by-play standpoint and really analyzing it. So I think that has helped out a lot. And being a catcher, you could be a left fielder and kind of go, you know what, I hit the ball really hard. I have that ability, and I can go catch some fly balls, and I'll hit my cutoff man. And I'm not trying to hate on left fielders. That
no, but we get it. Yeah.
But when you're behind the plate, you are so immersed in the game, and you have to have a knowledge of everything that's going on with your team, with your pitcher, what his strengths are, plus the 9 guys in their lineup, how you're attacking them. You're leading everybody at all times. And I think it really forces you to have a great baseball knowledge and also have a great energy and be a leader. You have 8 guys looking at you at all times. So I loved being a catcher. I took a lot of pride in
yeah, you did. You did. And watching you catch, you're right. You were a defensive, like you were really good behind the plate. You had a good arm. You understood the game. You made pitchers better. And so like when you're, and I want to say this the right way because I get yelled at all the time, but when you see a catcher in the pros and you see him miss a ball, like they get a pass ball that they should be blocking, and how hard is it for you not to say, hey, you got it. You know what I mean? Like your dad has always been really good at being a Rockies announcer, but calling the game fairly and not being what I would call a homer. Right? Like, how hard is that when you're back there and you're critiquing your position that you played?
You know what, Scott? It's a tough balance, right? Because this is just a broadcasting thing. My dad and I, we both work for. He works for Rockies TV, the MLB and the Rockies. I work for KOA, who owns the rights to the Rockies radio broadcast, and I also worked for the Rockies. So you're not going to be standing up there ripping the Rockies, and also the people that are listening to the Rockies games, they want to you to be excited when the Rockies do something well, and they don't really want you to be excited when the Rockies do something poorly. So there's a fine line, and you try to walk it. And at the end of the day, we're pulling as hard for the Rockies as anybody else out there, and we really care about it. That's a kind of a different subject, I guess. But in terms of criticizing when you see somebody do it, I think it's easy to go, hey, you know what? And this is true. Hey, I'll just say Hunter Goodman, because he's usually behind the plate for the Rockies, and he's been awesome this year. But let's say he does make a mistake. Hey, you know what? Hunter would tell you he's got to block that one, right?
Yeah.
He should have had that one. Exactly. And
I've heard you actually use that.
I've heard you actually use that exact same phrase
like a couple times. He'd be the first one to tell you he should have made that play. He's the right. Like, and that's a great way to phrase it, because these guys, I think, by the way, I love watching them this year. Oh my gosh, are they fun to watch?
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to be, if they can keep this together, they are going to be really, really good in a short amount of time, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. I'm really looking forward to it. They have a lot of really good young players, especially on the offensive side of things. And there's some pitchers that are coming up, and they just drafted some guys. And I have a lot of high hopes for Gabriel Hughes and Chase Dollander whenever he gets back. The game's about pitching. You know that as a guy who's been around the game forever. So there's still some ways to go on that side of things. But I agree. It's not going to be a long time before the Rockies are right in the mix of things and playing some baseball in October again.
Well, I agree, because you remember when they did play some baseball in October, they kind of built it that way. They built the offense and had really good, and then they found good enough pitching to be able to compete every day.
Well, if you look at the Rockies teams that have made the playoffs in their past, good pitching staffs. With Jeff Francis, Aaron Cook, back in 2007, you look at Jason Hamill, Jason Marquis in 2009, and then you go to 2018. I mean, German Marquez was amazing. And Kyle Freeland had a legitimate argument to win the Cy Young that year. And then you had John Gray, was really solid. And they had a lot of really good options. And the game will always be based on pitching. But back to, sorry, we kind of segued a little bit. Yeah. It's natural. But, back to your point of looking at the catching position, the reality of it is it's a really hard game, and you play 162 games, you're going to make mistakes at some point. Every single guy is going to. So, you say, hey, he'd tell you he should have had that one. And the truth is, he would tell you he should have had that one. And the other truth is that happens. It's baseball. And even at the highest level, you're going to make mistakes. So you just have to understand it's a game of failure, and guys are going to, screw up. I screwed up all the time. There's no doubt about that.
Let me ask you this, because I asked Casey this, and he answered it very politically correct. With the ball and strike, the automated ball and strike situation, has that diminished the position at all, in your opinion?
A little bit, but not as great as people think. And I think if they went to a complete ball and strike, every single pitch is automated, it would completely change the catching position, because the most important thing that catchers do in terms of defensive runs saved and outs above average, all those metrics, it takes into framing more than anything else, because the difference between a 1-0 count and an 0-1 count is like 100 batting points. The difference between a 1-2 count and a 2-1 count is like 150. So if you're able to steal a strike consistently, it's going to really have a big impact over the course of a season on the way your team performs. Absolutely. And the challenge system has been perfect to me, because I think at the right times when guys use them, it eliminates the bad calls that could have an impact on the game. But at the same time, you see guys use one in the first inning and they lose it. And next thing you know, you want to hold off, because you don't want to come up in the 8th inning and the umpire misses one by 3 inches, but you can't do anything about it. So I think there's strategy to it. And I also think that the catching position now includes that strategy of, if you're good at the ABS challenges as a catcher, that's an advantage to have a guy who really understands the zone from behind.
And I think Hunter's done a really good job of that, don't you?
Been one of the best couple guys in the league at challenging pitches from behind the plate. And I mean, that flips walks into strikeouts. It changes innings dramatically. It saves runs. And we've seen on the flip side where the Rockies, I couldn't tell you the exact game, but there was an inning where first and second, 2 outs, 3-2 pitch. Guy gets run up. He challenges it. Next thing you know, it's ball 4, and the Rockies end up scoring 3 runs instead of being out of the inning. And I think that there's value in that, and guys who understand the zone and can do that. And I think from
That's a
behind the
perfect
plate, I
answer
think
to the
position.
yeah. That's a perfect answer to that question. Casey was a lot more politically correct than you were, but you answered the exactly how I think you need to answer it. So let's get back to you specifically. We could talk Rockies all day long, and I love talking Rockies, but let's get back to you. When did broadcasting, you being around it, when did it go, that's what I want to do?
I always wanted to be a Major League Baseball player. That was goal number 1, and then goal number 2 is, well, if I can't do that, I know that's really hard. I'll try to get into broadcasting, which is also an extremely tough business.
Yes, you picked 2 of the hardest businesses out there.
Right. But I think any kid, you like to emulate your father. You look up to him, especially when he's doing a job that I love baseball. I mean, that baseball's been my whole life. It has been the reason I went to school in a certain place. It's where it's brought me to Amarillo and now back to Denver. Baseball's been everything to me, and I loved baseball. And then my dad's doing it at the highest level, and you get to be around that and have those experiences. I think it was just a matter of time before I realized, this is what I want to do. I think that's why there's so many broadcasters that have their kids in the industry as well. I'm certainly not the only one, because you're around it and it's really cool. And you think, man, I could be able to do this too. And also just listening to my dad all the time, because you listen to the games because it's your dad talking. That's cool.
Yeah.
And when you listen to games nonstop and you're really paying attention to what he is saying, you kind of have a feel of how to do a broadcast because you've listened to so many. So
I think you, like, I love the fact that you said that, because we all emulate our dad, right? We all want to be like our dad, but you did it the right way. You went away to get your experience. And I really admired you for that. When I heard you were in Amarillo and you were doing Amarillo, and it like, let's be honest, Amarillo, like, it ain't like it's the beach in Florida, right? Like going down right, like you're in Amarillo, Texas, in the middle of, which is don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to badmouth Amarillo.
No, I had a big time soft spot for Amarillo. So
you should, yeah, absolutely.
But I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
Yeah. So you choose Amarillo. Talk about that experience and how, like, bumps in the road while you were there, like things, anything where you went, oh, maybe this isn't for me.
Oh, you know what, Scott? I was so fortunate that most guys spend close to a decade or more in the minor leagues before they get their shot in the big leagues. And I was just really fortunate with Dave Tepper, who's the program director at KOA. He really liked me, and we developed a relationship over the last couple of years. And he's been helping me out with my tape over the last couple of years, and little broadcasting tips from the radio standpoint. And I was just fortunate enough that this job opened up when it did. He gave me an opportunity, and then I performed well in the tryouts. And so I got in and out of the minors faster than basically anybody else really will. And that, some of it is I'm not going to sell myself short. I know I'm a good broadcaster, but there's a lot of really good broadcasters out there. I know a ton of them, and they're just waiting for the right opportunity. And I'm just really fortunate mine came early. So I guess I went that direction to answer your initial question of, I don't think I was in the minors long enough to really feel like, man, I don't know if I made the right decision.
I guess you're right.
Yeah, it's a grind. It really is in the minors. You're on the bus. It's 12-hour bus rides, and you're doing them all the time. And that there's certainly, and then it's every day. It's no different than the major league season where it's every day. It's a grind. We did 138 of them. So compared to 162, that's not the same, but there's still a lot of baseball games.
Well, yeah, and 12-hour, it's a little different on 162 when you're getting on a plane and you're, right? Like, it's a little different. I guess they always talk about minor league baseball players and how they, when you get to the show, they carry your bags for you. I guess you're kind of going through the same thing.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. And, you talk to guys, and that was an interesting experience for me because a lot of the broadcasters, they'll be older guys, right? And right now I'm the youngest guy in the major league, so everybody's much older than I am. But when I was in the minor leagues, the travel crew is the coaching staff, the players on the team, and then the broadcaster. That's the only people that travel. So it's literally everybody who's on the team plus me. But I was 24 and 25 at the time, and I'm going around with a bunch of guys who are 23 to 24 years old. And truthfully, they're the same guys I've been playing college baseball with the last 6 years, except they're better at baseball. So we had a lot in common, and I became close with some of those guys, and so that was a fun experience in that way. It was just definitely really different, and it's a grind, and there's a reason why everybody's looking forward to getting to the major leagues, not just about what is there, but also about how hard it is to get there, and the grind and the sacrifices you make to get there.
Okay, that brings up a good point because you said you were very fortunate that the job opened up when it did and everything. With your dad being the Rockies play-by-play, was there ever a time where you went, maybe I don't want to go for this job because I don't want people to think what people always think, whether your dad's the coach of the team or your dad, right? Like it's not fair to you, and I get that. But I said the same thing to a guy I interviewed a couple days ago who we played high school football together, and his dad was the coach, right? Like, no matter what you do, people are going to say Zach Goodman only got that job because of his daddy, even though you're really good at it. So was there ever a time where you said, maybe I don't want to go do it for the Rockies because of that?
No, not at all.
Good.
This is my dream job. I mean, Denver's my city. I love Denver. I want to be here. This is where I want to live. This is where I want to build a family eventually. I got to find a wife first. That's step number one. But this is where I want to be. And I mean, I'm a diehard Rockies fan my whole life. So now I cover this team. And obviously, there's a way to do it on air where you're not being a fan. But I truly I care about this team so much, regardless if I was announcing it for them or not. So it's really cool for me. And when you bring up the other stuff, the big word that gets tossed around is nepotism all the time. And at the end of the day, Scott, the industry it's the entertainment business, right? We're not.
Yes.
We're shooting stuff live, and you're trying to entertain people for 3-4 hours while you talk about a baseball game and observe it. And so no matter who you are, whether you're Vin Scully or me, there's people that didn't like Vin Scully, and they're wrong. But
They're 100% wrong.
but it's an opinionated business, right? And now on Twitter and social media, every person that wants to can comment behind a fake name and a cartoon avatar, and it's a joke. And for every person that would come out and wants to say that about me, uh, that's their opinion. Whatever. I know that I didn't get the job because of my dad. My dad was not involved in the process at all. He purposely stayed out of it. I didn't want him to be involved because I wanted to get this on my own. I know the optics of it, but Dave Tepper, the guy who hired me and gave me the opportunity, I knew him for a long time before he even met my dad. We met completely separately, so it had nothing to do with him. And the people that want to be behind the keyboard and comment at a 25-year-old kid getting his dream job, and you have no idea who I am, you don't know my character, you don't know the process about how this happened, and you want to attack me personally. Well, here's my thought on it. I do not care, right? Like if you're going to be supportive,
I love it. It's like Deion Sanders when he goes, what about me do you think makes me believe that I care what you think? Right? Like you're really good at it, Maddie. Not just because I love you as a kid, and you're really, really good at it. And don't ever tell your father this, but I've watched the game on the TV and I've turned you on the radio.
Good.
Yeah, good. Just and my dad taught me that trick back in the day. And just because I really want to support you and I enjoy it, not that I don't enjoy listening to your father as well.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
But a lot of times, like I'm just like, I'll put the headphone in. My wife doesn't want to hear the TV. I'll put the headphones in, listen to it on the radio, but watch it on TV. And so, look, man, this has been really cool because, like I said, we could go down memory lane for so many different things. We've been around the game a long time. But tell me what is it like on a daily, like, give me your daily, like, you got to play golf this morning, which is awesome. Give me your daily for a home game.
All right. Well, perfect. Today's a good example. It's a 6:40 start time, which means that the clubhouse is going to open up at home 4 hours before first pitch. So the clubhouse will open up at 2:40. I always have to get a pregame interview. Um, Anywhere from 3.5 to 6 minutes, depending on the day and the time of our pregame show. But I get a new guy every single day, and sometimes it's somebody from the other team. Sometimes it's one of our guys, and I try to get there early just because that's when the availability is. And even though they're lenient with me about if I want to go in whenever I can get it, and we have a lot of good guys on the team, but I try to respect their time. So I'll get to the ballpark today around 2:30 ish. I'll be prepared today. I think I'm going to get Troy Johnston as my pregame interview. He pitched last night, and he's a position player. And it wasn't a great night for the Rockies, so I thought I'll go down that avenue, even though they've been playing good baseball lately. So I'll be getting Troy later today. So I'll show up. I'll go into the show up to the stadium. I'll go into the clubhouse at 2:40. I'll find him. I'll get the interview, and then usually I'll hang out in the dugout and do some work in the dugout, just filling out the lineups, getting the notes in and stuff. And I like doing it down there just because then, guys are walking past and you can talk to them and catch up with guys. And, there's a lot of studying that goes in before you even go to the ballpark. I mean, I'll spend the next hour or so studying up on Lauer and Feltner tonight. That's the pitching matchup. So, I'll make sure I'm really knowledgeable on both of them. And even though I know Feltner really well, I see him all the time. But there's a lot of preparation that goes into it. And then when you get to the stadium, you want to talk to the guys and kind of hear their stories and see if you can find something that you can use on air that maybe puts a little bit of personality behind the name of the guy that you're talking about. And you go, hey, here comes Mickey Moniak to the plate, and I can tell a cool story of something he did in the off season that he told me about in a random conversation. And then you have a little bit more of a feel of who Mickey Moniak is. That's the whole idea, right? And so you get to the stadium early, you get some of that information, and then you go up to the booth and get even more prepared, talk to the opposing team's broadcasters because they're so obviously immersed in their team that any detail that you want from their team, they'll be able to provide. So usually broadcasters talk back and forth, and you go eat, and then the pregame show gets going, and you're off and running. But yeah, it's cool. I still pinch myself every time I step up walk up the dugout steps, and I go, man, this is a big league stadium. I'm sitting in a big league dugout right now, and it's really cool, and I certainly don't take it for granted.
All right, real quick, just before we get off, because I know you got to get going and you got to get ready for tonight, but I want to what's your favorite away stadium you've been to so far?
You know what? It's funny. I think this is probably the most common question I've been asked since I started doing this. And you know what? I asked a lot of the rookies this question in my pregame interviews. It's like, which stadium do you like? Because you truly, it's kind of the goal of everybody. Hey, let's go see all 30. And there's a lot of really unique ones. There's ones that surprised me. I loved Milwaukee Stadium. I thought that was great. Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia is awesome. Really liked that park. Dodger Stadium, as much as they're the big bad Dodgers, a lot of history, really cool atmosphere. It's like the circus there. You show up 5 hours before the game, and there's tours, and the stadium is packed. It's crazy.
And there's celebrities everywhere, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's wild. It's a different experience for sure. Nothing beats Wrigley though. I haven't been to Fenway, but nothing beats Wrigley. That's pure baseball. Fans that care about the game, they're there because it's the Cubs are playing, and it's all about baseball. And I love that. I had chills being down on that field. That was one of the more surreal moments of just being down on Wrigley Field. That's crazy. So I'd say Wrigley probably.
That's awesome. All right, last thing, your partner Jack Corrigan, like he's been doing it forever. Talk about the time you spent with him and how welcoming he's been and just bringing you in and teaching and learning and talk. Just give me just a couple minutes about him because like Rockies fans have been listening to him for a long time.
Jack is a legend. He's an absolute legend, and he's one of the best to ever put on the headset. He's remarkable. I'm so blessed that not only am I getting this opportunity early in my life, but I'm doing it with him and learning from him. It's crazy. That was one of the first things I told him at the start of the year. I'm like, Jack, if you hear me, I know we're partners and he's not my boss or anything. He's the lead. But I told him, I'm like, Jack, if you hear me doing something during the broadcast that you think I can improve upon, don't be scared to tell me. Like, I want you to tell me. I want you to tell me where I can improve because one is I was coached my whole life and I can take hard coaching if I need to. And that's not how it's been with him. But, after an inning, sometimes he'll take off the headset and go, hey, you did this. Maybe think about trying it this way. And he's done it in such a good way. And I feel like I've grown as a broadcaster so much because of just little intricate things about broadcasting and how to phrase things and how to talk about different guys. And it's been so helpful because I truly am lucky that, I mean, he really is one of the best to ever do it. And I get to sit next to him every single day. And even when he's not giving me advice, which he's doing, and I invite it, I want him to. I'm also just listening intently on how he's calling the game. And when I'm sitting next to him 162 times, it's going to come out to about 155 or something like that this year. But you learn just from listening, and I have the front row seat to it, and it's such a blessing, and I'm super lucky. And also I'd be remiss to not mention Jesse Thomas, who's our producer and engineer, because he's one of the most talented people I've ever met as well, and he provides so much for our broadcast. And it's just a 3-man team. That's who we are. It's just us three, and there's a great dynamic that we have going, and for me to be able to step into a broadcast booth with two guys who are just two of the best to do it is so fortunate. And even if I was horrible at the job, they'd be able to carry me along and make me sound okay. That's how good both of them are. So yeah, I could go on and on about the that I've learned this year and how lucky I am and fortunate I am to be next to somebody like Jack, who not only is great and all these things, but he truly cares about me and my development and getting better, and it comes off, and I really appreciate it. So I'm really fortunate with.
That's really awesome. All right, you know what? I'm going to ask you one last question.
Keep them coming.
And then I'm going to ask you one last question. I'm going to let you go. Okay, your dad's got a saying for home runs: take a good look, you won't see it for long. Have you come up with anything yet? Have you been practicing anything? Do you have something that you're going to eventually get to us? Because I tell you what, every time he says that, I love it.
Yeah, and it's a great line, and the one thing that he preaches and that I've heard from so many, it's got to be organic, right? He just said that randomly one time, and it sounded good, and it stuck. Jack Corrigan's is touch 'em all time. He said it. He used to say it. He told me while he was playing wiffle ball as a kid, and then he tried it out, and his first partner's like, "That's pretty good. I'd stick with that," and it's a great call. It's hard because feels like everything's been taken, right? There's been so many great broadcasters that use things, and I don't want to come off forcing something where it sounds cliche, because the reality of it is I want it to be about the game and the moment that the guy just had, not me trying to force some saying into the call. And if something comes naturally and it works and people like it and it sticks, so be it. But if not, I'm just going to keep calling the home runs. Whatever pops into my head, I'll say. And
something will happen. It'll happen, I think.
Yeah, I'll share this with you. It's something we've talked about since I was in high school, since I knew it. So all my friends would always try to come up with some, and one of my good friends, and I did it for him. Kind of, it was the game was a blowout in the minor leagues at one point. I'm like, you know what? If we hit a home run, I'll say it for him. And there was a million home runs at our ballpark in Amarillo. But he said, "Get out the swatter, because that's a big fly, like a fly swatter." And I'm like, it wouldn't work, like to say, but we would always joke about that. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it for him once. So he has a clip of a minor league home run where I say that. But to that point, and obviously that one's a little bit more niche and weird. That sounds contrived and forced.
Yeah.
Compared to high fly ball, left field, going back at the wall, it's out of here, right? Even as simple as that is, I think it has a good sound to it. And if eventually someday I get my own call that I really like, I'll have one. But if I never do, hopefully I'm still a decent broadcaster without
Well,
one.
I don't think you have to have one to be a great broadcaster. I'm just saying your dad had one, and I was like, I wonder if he's got something in the hopper waiting, because again, we love that stuff, and as fans, that's something that I will live like. I hope I hear that tonight. Like
Oh, no doubt.
that's something, and for for Drew, that's a compliment because he has made that in my brain. When I watch the Rockies, I want to hear that, and
Yeah.
that's cool.
No. Yeah, I completely agree. And if I can find one, I would certainly love to have one. I certainly would like one. It's not. I want it to be natural. I don't want it to sound forced. And hopefully, I have thousands of more games to call in front of me, and something happens to where it naturally comes out, and maybe I can use it a little bit more often. But
That's cool.
yeah, I don't want to force anything. I don't want to steal anything, and I'm just trying to be as natural as I can, and just kind of let the moment come to me.
Well, keep doing what you're doing, man. And Zach, I can't thank you enough for being on, dude. I know you're crazy busy this time of year. I know you did that. I know you did this as a favor to me, so I appreciate it. And tell your family I love your family. Tell them all I said hello. Tell Pops I said hello tonight. I'm looking forward to listening to you and watching your career grow, and hopefully have you back on again.
Well, I appreciate it, Scott. And anytime, just let me know. I still owe you a lot more than just one podcast appearance for all the things that you've done for me and my family over the years. So
I appreciate you very much. I appreciate you saying that. God bless you. And hey, again, Zach Goodman, KOA Radio, on us on the on with us on the Scott Horman podcast. You can get it on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe. Thanks for being with me, Zach.
No doubt. Thank you, Scott, for having me.